I thought I knew my daughter well until I saw her spend $3.5 million of my money on diamond earrings during a live stream. What happened next changed our relationship forever and the lives of thousands of her followers. My name is Sarah Collins, and until recently I considered myself a lucky mother. At 52, I thought I understood modern teenagers better than most parents. How wrong I was. It all started 18 months ago when my 17-year-old daughter, Emma, announced she wanted to become an influencer. Sitting at our kitchen table in our suburban Austin home, she showed me videos of other girls her age making thousands of dollars just by sharing their daily lives. "Mom, look at her," Emma said, pointing at her phone screen. "She's a year younger than me and already bought herself a BMW. In the video, I saw a girl unboxing high-end makeup in a pink bedroom littered with plush toys. Losing my husband, David, 2 years ago in a car accident turned our lives upside down. The insurance and his savings left us in a relatively comfortable financial position, about $4 million to secure our future. Maybe because of the guilt of not shielding Emma from that loss, I became more lenient than I should have been." "Okay, sweetheart," I said, stroking her long brown hair, "but promise me school stays the priority." Emma nodded with such enthusiasm that I couldn't help but smile. In those days, her joy still felt genuine. The first few months were promising. Emma created accounts on Instagram, Tik, and YouTube under the handle at Emma Lives Luxury. Her content was fairly innocent, videos about school life, makeup tips, reviews of affordable clothes. She even roped me into some videos where we cooked together or chatted about movies. "Mom, I hit 1,000 followers," she exclaimed one evening in March, bursting into the living room where I was reading a book. "That's amazing, sweetheart," I replied, and it truly was. Seeing her chase her dream filled me with pride. But something shifted by the summer. At first, it was small things. Emma became secretive with her phone, always tilting the screen away when I passed by. She started asking for money for content props, expensive makeup, clothes, accessories. "I need to invest in my brand, Mom," she'd say when I raised concerns about the growing expenses. "All the successful influencers say you have to spend money to make money." I gave her a few $100s here and there, thinking of it as an investment in her future. But by August, the requests grew more frequent and larger. "I need new sneakers for a back-to-school video," she said one morning. "Everyone wearing these golden goose ones, they're only $700. Only $700 for sneakers for a 17-year-old. "Emma, that seems excessive," I said gently. "Can we find something more reasonable?" Her face turned cold instantly. "You don't get it, Mom. If I look cheap, people will stop following me, then all this work will be for nothing." That was the first time I glimpsed who she was becoming, but I chalked it up to teenage drama and bought her the sneakers. September brought a new level of strangeness. Emma started receiving packages almost daily, small boxes from jewelry brands, bags from high-end department stores, envelopes she'd quickly whisk away to her room. When I asked about them, she said brands were sending her free products for reviews. "It's called sponsorship, Mom," she explained with a hint of condescension. "When you have enough followers, companies want you to showcase their stuff." It sounded plausible. I knew such things happened in the social media world, but what worried me was how she'd changed. The girl who used to love movie nights with me was now constantly working on content. Her bedroom turned into a professional studio with ring lights, tripods, and backdrops. "I've got 15,000 followers on Instagram now," she bragged over dinner in late September, "and my last Tik got 2 million views." "That's great, sweetheart," I said, but something about her smile felt off. There was a calculated edge to how she talked about numbers, as if they were the most important thing in her life. October was a turning point. One evening, while Emma was at a friend's sleepover, I decided to check her accounts. What I saw shocked me. Her latest posts were nothing like the ones I'd seen before. Instead of cute, homey videos, there were photos of her in designer clothes I'd never seen, with jewelry that looked outrageously expensive. One video showed her buying a bag worth $8,000. $8,000 for a bag that I'd never seen in our house. My hands shook as I scrolled further. Photos from trips to Miami, New York, Las Vegas, places she'd supposedly never been. Videos from high-end restaurants where she ordered champagne costing hundreds per bottle. Life's too short to not live luxuriously, she said in one video, lounging in a hotel room that looked like a presidential suite. I deserve the best. Deserve, she was a 17-year-old who'd never worked a day in her life, talking about deserving luxury. I saved screenshots and waited for her to come home. When she walked in Sunday evening, I was ready for a serious talk. Emma, we need to talk, I said, showing her the phone with her posts. For a second she looked scared, but then her face turned defiant. So what? Where did you get the money for this? That bag costs more than some people earn in a month. She rolled her eyes. Mom, you don't understand how social media works. I have sponsors, I'm making money. Show me, I said, show me income statements, tax forms, something. I don't have to answer to you, she snapped. I'm almost 18, this is my money, my business. Not while you're living under my roof, I replied firmly, and not while I'm paying for everything else in your life. She looked at me with such contempt that I felt something break in my heart. You know what, Mom, maybe it's time you stopped living in the past and realized the world's changed. I'm not going to be boring and ordinary like you. With that, she stormed to her room and locked the door. The next few weeks were a cold war in our house. Emma only spoke to me when absolutely necessary, and her social media posts grew even more extravagant. She was now flaunting jewelry worth tens of thousands and trips on private jets. Her follower count soared to 100,000, and the comments were full of awe and envy. Life goals, how do you do it? Teach me to be this rich. But what alarmed me most was that I never saw these items at home. When I asked where these expensive purchases were, she'd say she kept them in a special place or that they were just for photos. In November, something odd happened with my phone. I started getting notifications about transactions I hadn't made. At first, it was small amounts, a few $100s here and there. I thought it might be a bank error, but when I called, they told me all transactions were authorized from my device. That's impossible, I told the bank representative. I didn't make those purchases. Ma'am, our records show these transactions were initiated from your registered mobile device using your biometric data, he explained. Is it possible someone else has access to your phone? My stomach dropped. Emma, but how? My phone was always password and fingerprint protected. That evening, I installed a security monitoring app on my phone, SecureTrack Pro. It was supposed to log all device activity and send me weekly security reports. I didn't tell Emma, but something told me it was the right move. A week passed before I got the first report. What I read made me feel sick. According to the report, my phone was used to access my banking apps almost daily. Usually between midnight and 3 a.m. the amounts were getting larger, thousands, then tens of thousands, transferred to accounts I didn't recognize. But the most shocking part was that the app captured video footage of someone using my phone. That someone was Emma. The video showed her sneaking into my bedroom at night, carefully lifting my phone from the nightstand and using my sleeping finger to unlock it. Then she'd navigate to the banking apps and transfer money to accounts that were clearly hers. She'd been doing this for months. My own daughter was stealing from me while I slept. I tallied the total, $3,700,000, almost everything we had, nearly all the money meant to secure our future after David's death. For a few minutes I couldn't breathe. The room spun and I felt my heart shatter into a million pieces. This wasn't just theft, it was betrayal on the deepest level from the person I loved most in the world. But then the shock turned to anger, cold, calculated anger. I spent the entire night planning my retribution. If Emma thought she could play games, she was about to learn her mother wasn't as naive as she seemed. The next morning I acted like everything was normal. Emma was eating breakfast, scrolling through her phone, probably planning her next lavish purchase. Hey, sweetheart, I said casually, how's the content going? She looked up, slightly surprised by my friendly tone. Good, Mom, I've got a big live stream today. Oh, really? What time? 7 tonight. I'm planning to show off my new jewelry collection, she said, not a hint of shame in her voice. My new jewelry collection, bought with my stolen money. That's great, sweetheart, I said, smiling. Can't wait to watch. Throughout the day, I contacted the bank, the police, and the FBI's cybercrime unit. They told me the evidence I had, security app footage, bank records, digital trails, was more than enough to press charges for grand theft and... "We can arrest her tonight if you want," detective said, "or we can wait until you've had a chance to talk to her first." "No," I said firmly, "do it publicly. She wanted fame, let her have it." At 7:15 p.m., Emma started her live stream. I watched from the living room, a mix of nausea and resolve churning inside me. "Hey, my lovelies," she chirped into the camera, sitting in her room, now cluttered with luxury goods. "Today's a special day. I'm showing you my incredible new jewelry collection." The viewer count showed nearly 15,000 people. Comments poured in with awe and envy. "First up, we have these stunning earrings," she said, slipping on diamond earrings I knew cost $25,000. "So elegant, right? OMG, they're gorgeous. So jealous. How can you afford this?" Emma laughed. "The secret is believing in yourself and never settling for less than you deserve." "And now this Tiffany necklace," she continued, holding up a diamond necklace, $40,000 of pure perfection. "That's when I heard cars pulling up to our house. It was time." "And finally too," Emma said, pulling out a diamond-encrusted bracelet. "This bracelet, just $75,000. Sometimes you have to treat yourself, you know." The comments went wild. 75 grand. Emma, how do you do it? Are your parents rich? Emma smirked. "My parents, please, my mom's so outdated she still doesn't get social media. I did all this myself. When you're smart and ambitious like me, the money just comes to you." That's when I heard the knock at the door. Loud, authoritative. "Police, open up." Emma's face changed instantly. Confidence melted into panic. "What's happening?" she mumbled, but the live stream was still running, with thousands watching. "Emma Collins," a voice shouted from the hallway, "you're under arrest for suspected grand theft," and the comments exploded. "What's going on? Is this real police?" "Emma, run." Her bedroom door swung open and two uniformed officers stepped in, with me following behind. "Emma Collins, you're under arrest," one officer said, pulling out handcuffs. "Mom," Emma screamed, turning to me with desperation in her eyes. "Mom, what are you doing?" I looked straight into the camera, still broadcasting, and said in a calm, steady voice, "My name is Sarah Collins and I'm Emma's mother. For the past 8 months, my daughter has been stealing from me while I slept, using my phone and my biometric data. The total amount is $3,700,000. The viewer count spiked to 30,000, and the comments were frantic. "No way. Is this real? Best TV drama ever. Karma." All these expensive things she's been flaunting, this whole luxury lifestyle, it was all bought with stolen money, I continued. My money, the money meant to secure our future after my husband's death. Emma struggled against the officers. "Mom, please, I can explain, it's not what you think. I have video evidence of you sneaking into my room at night and using my sleeping finger to unlock my phone," I said, still addressing the camera. "I have bank records of every transaction. I have proof of every purchase." An officer read Emma her rights as she sobbed, begging me to stop, but it was too late for tears. "Let this be a lesson," I said to the live stream audience. "In the digital age, there's no such thing as a perfect crime. Every click, every purchase, every action leaves a trace, and if you betray your family's trust for likes and followers, reality will catch up with you sooner or later." The live stream cut off as Emma was led away in handcuffs, but the video had already started spreading across the internet. By morning, Emma Exposed was the #1 trending topic on Twitter. The arrest video racked up over 10 million views in the first 12 hours. News outlets covered the story, calling it the greatest influencer downfall of all time. But the real work was just beginning. The next few weeks, I worked with federal agents and bank investigators to trace every dollar. Emma had created an intricate web of fake accounts and used various platforms to launder money through luxury purchases, which she then resold. She was smarter than I'd realized, but not as smart as she thought. "Your daughter was highly sophisticated in her methods," FBI agent Johnson explained. She used cryptocurrency exchanges, fake LLCs, even international transfers to cover her tracks. If it weren't for your security app, we might never have caught her. The media was relentless. Teen influencer arrested for stealing millions from mother. From luxury to lockup, the fall of Emma Collins. Digital betrayal, how social media turned a daughter into a thief. Emma hired an expensive lawyer with the remaining stolen money, I later learned, who tried to paint her as a victim of social media pressure and teenage delusion. But the evidence was ironclad. The trial was a circus. Reporters, cameras, crowds of people following the story on social media. Emma showed up in court looking young and innocent in a modest dress, nothing like the glamorous influencer she'd pretended to be. Her lawyer tried to garner sympathy. "Your Honor, my client is just a 17-year-old girl who lost her father and fell under the unhealthy influence of social media culture. She made terrible mistakes, but she deserves a second chance." But the prosecutor was ruthless. This girl systematically stole millions of dollars over 8 months. She planned, executed, and concealed one of the most sophisticated identity theft schemes we've seen. Her age doesn't excuse the cold-blooded nature of her actions. When it was my turn to testify, I felt a mix of sadness and resolve. Looking at Emma across the courtroom, I saw glimpses of the girl I once knew, but also the coldness in her eyes that had grown over those months. "She didn't just steal money," I told the judge. "She stole our future, she stole her father's memory, and most painfully of all, she stole the trust between a mother and daughter that may never be rebuilt." In the end, the banks recovered most of the money. Luxury goods were seized and sold, accounts were frozen, and the intricate financial web was unraveled. Of the $3.7 million, we recovered about $3.2 million. Emma was sentenced to 2 years of probation with mandatory community service and therapy. Since she was 17 at the time of most of the crimes, the court was lenient, but the damage to her reputation was irreparable. At Emma Live's Luxury was permanently banned from all platforms. Her arrest video became one of the most viral clips of the year. She became a cautionary tale about the dangers of influencer culture and social media. But the real cost was personal. Emma moved to my sister's place in California after the trial. We barely speak. The rare conversations we have are strained and formal. The girl I raised is gone, replaced by a stranger who looks at me with resentment and shame. Sometimes I wonder if I could have prevented this. Were there signs I missed? Could I have intervened sooner? But then I remember the video of her sneaking into my room at night, using my sleeping hand against me, and I realized the person capable of such cold-blooded betrayal was someone I didn't know at all. The therapist I started seeing after all this said something that stuck with me. Sometimes we want to protect our kids from the world's pain so badly that we forget to prepare them for its realities. Maybe after David's death I was too lenient, maybe I gave Emma too much freedom, too few boundaries, but in the end she made her choices, a series of choices, and each one led us to where we are. It's been 6 months since the trial and life is slowly settling into a new normal. The house feels too quiet without the drama of the past year, but it's a good quiet, a peaceful quiet. I went back to work at the library where I'd worked before marriage. My colleagues have been kind, most followed the story in the news, but no one judged me for what I did. In fact, many told me I did the right thing. "You gave her a chance to come clean," my friend said. "She chose to keep lying and stealing. That was her choice, not yours." But the most unexpected responses came from strangers. After the story went viral, I received thousands of messages from parents struggling with similar issues. Teens obsessed with social media, kids demanding pricier things for their posts, families torn apart by the unrealistic expectations of influencer culture. "Thank you for showing us we're not alone," one mother wrote. "My daughter was starting to demand expensive stuff for Instagram, and I felt like a bad mom for saying no. Your story gave me the strength to set boundaries." Other messages came from young people who said Emma's arrest video made them rethink their approach to social media and materialism. "I was about to steal my parents' credit card to buy expensive sneakers for Tick," one teen wrote. "Seeing what happened to Emma made me realize how stupid that would been." Those messages gave me something I didn't expect, a sense of purpose. What happened with Emma and me was a tragedy, but if our story can help other families avoid the same pain, maybe there's meaning in it. I started speaking at schools and parent meetings about digital literacy and the dangers of influencer culture. My presentation is called Behind the Screen: The Real Cost of Digital Fame. Social media isn't inherently evil, I tell audiences, but it can amplify bad impulses, greed, envy, narcissism. As parents, we need to help our kids develop critical thinking about what they see online and values that go deeper than likes and followers. I've also become an advocate for stricter laws protecting minors on social media. It's too easy for kids to create accounts, start accepting gifts from strangers, and get sucked into a world they're not emotionally ready for. SecureTrack Pro, the app that helped me catch Emma, reached out to ask if I'd be their spokesperson. The irony wasn't lost on me. A tool meant to protect against external hackers helped me discover the hacker was under my own roof. Cybercrime often starts at home, I say in their ad campaigns. Trust is important, but so is verification. As for Emma, we've exchanged a few brief letters. She's finishing her final year of high school remotely and plans to attend community college. Her letters are formal, almost businesslike. She thanks me for not pushing for maximum punishment. She says she's in therapy and working on her issues. But there's no real remorse, no apology for the pain she caused, no acknowledgement that she didn't just destroy our finances, she destroyed our family. Her therapist says this is normal, that real accountability and remorse might come later as she matures, but I'm not holding my breath. I've learned to live with the reality that the daughter I knew may be gone for good. In the rare moments I let myself grieve, I mourn not just the lost money but the lost daughter, the girl who laughed at silly movies with me, who hugged me when I was sad, who once told me she wanted to be as good a mom as I was. That girl disappeared somewhere between the first extravagant request and the last stolen dollar. But life goes on, it has too. I sold our big house and moved into a cozy apartment closer to downtown. I didn't need all that space, and honestly, that house held too many memories. Here, I can start fresh. I got a dog, a golden retriever named Charlie, who greets me at the door every evening with unconditional love. No hidden motives, no demands for expensive gifts, no late-night betrayals, just pure, honest affection. Friends ask if I regret going to the police. The answer is always no. Emma didn't just break the law, she broke the foundations of human decency. If I hadn't stopped her, she would kept going and the next victim might been someone else. More than that, the public nature of the case sent a vital message. Actions have consequences even in the digital world, especially in the digital world. The internet doesn't exempt us from morality, I say in my talks. It amplifies its importance. When your actions can be seen by millions, the stakes are higher, not lower. Sometimes people ask what I'd say to Emma if I saw her today. The answer is complicated. Part of me still loves her. She's my daughter, and that bond doesn't vanish just because she hurt me. I'd want to tell her I forgive her, that we could rebuild what was broken. But the realistic part of me knows some betrayals cut too deep for simple forgiveness. Trust, once broken like that, may never fully heal. What I would tell her is that I hope she uses this pain to grow, that she learns to value real relationships over digital likes, that she understands the difference between self-worth rooted in inner value and one tied to external validation. And that someday, maybe, she'll realize a loving parent sometimes has to cause short-term pain to prevent long-term harm. For now, we live in separate worlds. She's in a world of trying to rebuild her life after public disgrace. I'm in a world of teaching others to avoid the same trap. Technology will keep evolving. Social media will find new ways to tempt young people with unrealistic expectations. There will always be kids who think they deserve luxury without work, fame without talent, money without responsibility. My role now is to help parents spot the warning signs, to teach kids that real value comes from within, to show families that digital trust must be earned just like any other kind. This isn't a story with a perfect, happy ending. Emma and I may never regain the closeness we once had. The scars from that year may linger forever. But it's a story about the power of truth in a world of digital illusions, about the importance of accountability in an age of anonymity, about how sometimes the most loving thing a parent can do is let their child face the consequences of their actions. If you're a parent reading this, I urge you, know what your kids are doing online. Set boundaries, teach them values deeper than likes and followers, And remember, in the digital world, just like the real one, character is what you do when you think no one's watching. But someone's always watching. And now, thanks to technology like my security app, the truth has a way of rising to the surface, no matter how deeply it's buried. Emma learned that lesson the hard way. I hope others can learn from her mistakes instead of repeating them. In the end, that's all I can ask from this painful chapter of our lives, that our pain has purpose, our mistakes become lessons, and our story helps shield other families from the same tragedy. Trust is easy to break but hard to rebuild. In the digital world, that truth matters more than ever, and sometimes the only way to protect what you love is to be willing to lose what you thought you knew. That's a lesson I'll never forget, and a lesson I hope helps other parents navigate the complex world of raising kids in the digital age. Because in the end, our children deserve parents strong enough to say no, wise enough to verify, and loving enough to make the tough choices when it matters most. Even when those choices break our hearts, if this story touched you, give it a like, share your thoughts in the comments, and let me know where you're watching from. See you soon.